All right, so with our handsome Mr. T, ready, Teddy? Nice job. What a good boy. So I want to warm up a little bit with some recall practice. So with recalls, there's a couple good recall rules to think about. So even if you have maybe a lovely fenced in yard, I would still get in the habit of having him practice. Oh, you have 4 legs. He says he forgot. So I would highly recommend to use a longer training leash. So like you may find a 15 to 20 foot lead. You could do 25. I feel like over 25, it starts to get awkward for you holding it and not having it get tangled or more wrangling on your end. So with recall rules, some of my favorites are to make sure recalls, and we're just doing find its as I'm blabbing. So recall rule number 1 is we don't want to make recalls the end of the fun. So if, let's say, he's been doing a great job coming when called from the yard, but now every time we've called him, we've gone back into the home, he's going to start to think that every time we do a recall means we're leaving the fun outside zone and we're going back inside where it might be kind of boring and lame from his perspective. Nice job. So 2, while I'm blabbing, and we're doing some of these find its, anytime Mr. Handsome, Mr. T orients back to me, I'm feeding him for coming into my space. Excuse me, I should not be drinking seltzer. So it is then reinforcing that coming towards the handler from the environment has good value. I think there's a snack someone stepped on, maybe me earlier. He says, don't worry, he's got it. Nice, good check-in. So we don't want to make recalls the end of fun. So if, let's say, he was out in the yard and you're calling him to you, you might call him and then send him away and feed him for when he does come to you. And you might then call him again and then send him away. So if he was in the yard with me right now and I called him to me, for example, for pretend, and he came to me, I'd feed him, but then I'd send him away to either go do another find it or to go do some exploration. And then I'd go, Teddy, come. Yes, chewing and running is hard. Yes. And I'm feeding him for coming when called. If, for example, then on the 5th recall, we go in the home, it doesn't always equal then that every time I've called you, we've ended the game by going in the house. So that's recall number 1, or rule number 1. Rule number 2 would be to make sure that you're not pairing recalls with something scary. So if your babe is scared of tubby time or they're scared of nail time, I wouldn't be saying their name and the C word and come to you while holding the thing of doom. Otherwise, your puppy then later might think anytime you call them could be another moment for that thing to be paired with it. He's going to go take a break. He loves to go lay down in the puddle. Bodhi's really good, which is fine, at spilling his water and making a little bit of a wet spot. And Mr. T says he'd like to go lay in it because it helps him feel nice and cool again. I feel like anytime the weather is over like 50 degrees, he's probably going to be really hot. Teddy, come. Yes, he's like, I guess I'll get out of my puddle. What a smart boy. It was very nice. So I might even jackpot him for his hard efforts of leaving the wet puddle behind. So if, let's say, there is something scary and you have to kind of work on that and you've been practicing hopefully with some cooperative care and getting him comfortable with things. And if you're not, I'd highly recommend to check out the Cooperative Care with Deb Jones. It's all about getting your dogs comfortable with handling skills, grooming, vet visits, where they're part of the equation versus just being bombarded. So if, let's say, he was a little bit unsure about putting something on like a harness, I wouldn't be calling him to me to then grab the harness and try to slap it on him, because then he might start to think when I call him, it might be I'm going to assault you with the scary thing. So those are the 2 recall rules so far. 3rd recall rule is to not get mad at your puppy when they finally come to you. If, for example, your babe has been frolicking and they're out of your yard and you're having a really big panic attack because, oh my gosh, they could get hit by a car, and I get it, it's a scary moment to have an off-leash dog when they don't have a reliable recall yet. So in that situation, if you got mad at him for when he finally did come back to you, even if you didn't mean to get agitated because you're overwhelmed, your puppy might think the next time you call them, you're going to get mad at them again. So they don't realize you're mad because of what has happened or what just went wrong from your perspective. They're going to think you're mad because they finally did eventually come to you. So if we scold them for not coming fast enough or not soon enough or as quickly as we would like, or for not ignoring a distraction and eventually meandering to us, they're not going to realize you're mad because of that, but instead for the recall itself. Teddy, come. He's like, puddle is winning. So let's say I tried calling him. You're not going to say it over and over. So let's say I said his name and the recall word, be it come or here, and there's no response. This is where in your yard, inside your home, practice some of these skills there before throwing it into like a more distractive environment elsewhere. So let's say my dog didn't respond. I said his name, I told him C word, he's still laying in his puddle. I would go about half the distance and then try from here, Teddy, come, and then bring him roughly to where I originally may have called him. So I don't want to repeat my slogans where I'm saying things over and over. But if, let's say you said it, oh, you didn't see it? Teddy, this way. Teddy's like, where'd you throw it? Ready? Find it. So if I, for example, am saying his name and the recall word over and over while he's like digging a hole for a chipmunk or while he's eating bunny poop, I'm not helping him learn it faster by hearing it and ignoring it. So if your puppy is really having a hard time, I would, for example, send him off to try maybe in a softer bubble or go and help him. So if, let's say, I'd said his name and come and nothing happened, I would go closer to my puppy where he was lost and then try to regain his attention and feed him for that honing in on me. Otherwise, the more we say something, Teddy, come, the more the meaning behind the word is going to get lost, or he might think that it takes 15 recalls to finally come when called. So we're going to do another little find it. Nice. Teddy, come. He's like, hold up, my brain's melting. What a good job. So smart. Yes. Very nice. So again, we'll do another little find it. So you can also have your puppies get distracted by doing a find it and then call them from there. Or if, let's say, they're already distracted by the environment, let them go sniff, but then do a little check-in and send them back to going and sniffing. Because if recalls always tend to equal we're about to get leashed up and leave the thing, or we're about to go in the home, or we're, for example, calling the puppy away from really cool odor, then again, recalls are equaling the end of fun. And then recalls will become less and less reliable. Teddy. So we'll see. He's like, hold up, this chair smells really nice. So again, I said his name, nothing really. So I'm going to go a little closer. Teddy. Ready? Come. What a smart man. So good. And I feed him for that check-in. Good job, sir. You're so smart. Oh my gosh, chew them. But if, let's say, he was on a longer training lead and he's chewing and he was really distracted, I'm not going to reel him in like a fish, but I would walk down the line as I'm collecting it up or stepping on it and walking down it so he can't go further away. And then what I'd end up doing is then I would go ahead. He's like, hold up, I'm tired. I would go ahead and then go all the way, maybe about half the distance and try from there. If, again, there's no response, I'm going to go all the way to the end of that lead, collect up my beauty, and then get their attention and move away from that hard zone. He's like, oh my gosh, more cool things on the wall? How amazing. So, but if you reel him in like a fish at the end of the line, that would be something I would do like in an emergency situation. Oh my gosh, like there's a porcupine you just noticed and it's going to be too hard. Reel him in, that's fine. But if he gets in the habit of feeling tension is the only reason he is then back to you, what happens when he's off leash later? Teddy. So the importance of working on gear but pretending as if he were naked is really important. So if the gear is the reason behind the behavior, then yes, thank you. Then it might be more than likely the gear is the only reason he did it. So we're going to see if we can get that little sit. Yes, thank you. Because if it's the pop and the yank and the pull that got him back to you, what happens when he doesn't have a leash? He won't feel those things. So we want to, he's like, that seems so silly. You're going to go find it? I think Mr. T has reached his quota for steps for the day. Are you tired? Maybe we can try a little down. Yes, good job. So, thanks for the extra slime. So you guys may find too, is when practicing recalls, we're just gonna have them hang here for a minute while I'm blabbing, is make sure that your recalls are not turned into like boot camp. So if your puppy can do like 10 or 15 really great recalls, I would not do that many every time. Sometimes I would do 3 and then stop there. Maybe do 5 and then stop at that point. But if it's every single time you do like 15 to 30 recalls, they might be like, oh my gosh, just make it end, and they may not want to come when called. So keep the recall practice short and sweet for greater success and make it seem fun and valuable to come check in with you. I know there's several other wonderful trainers that recommend to have a wide variety of novel snacks that are given for the recall. So you're building up that coming when called is really, really nice. So they don't always know what's coming, almost like, the slot machine, like you may win or you may not. but you are hoping that you might win something amazing. So for the puppies, rotating through different types of reinforcements can be really nice to keep that engagement rocking, even in more complex or trying situations for down the road. But for recalls, that is something that I'd reinforce every time the puppy comes, because we want them to think that it's bomb-proof, that every time we respond to a recall, that's going to be amazing. Because remember, behavior starts to fall apart when we don't reinforce. So, oh, there you go, I dropped one. So it doesn't mean that your puppy is going to be eating till till they become roly-polies, but I would highly recommend to reinforce the stuff you'd like to keep maintaining into adulthood. And then that way, those deposits have been doing a very nice job building on that behavior, so it wants to come out even down the road with challenging situations. Mr. T says, I'm exhausted. So maybe we'll give Mr. T a little breather and we'll rotate through the babes. Maybe they got to come back out for a little potty and we'll rotate through these babies. But he did such a good job, Mr. T, today. He says, oh my gosh, so winded. He's a pooped out guy.